Okay, so when you think of a farm, what comes to mind? Probably a simple, kind of rustic scene, right? But what if I told you that behind that cozy image, there's a whole world of pretty complex science, precision nutrition, and even veterinary medicine? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the hidden science of animal care and exploring the incredible ancient bond between us and the animals we depend on. And get this relationship goes way, way back, further than you'd probably think. I mean, we're talking 10,000 years. Ancient cave paintings in India actually show our ancestors riding horses and tending to decorated bulls. So this isn't just some modern industry. Nope. It's this ancient partnership woven right into the fabric of human history from the very beginning. So how did this ancient bond turn into a modern scientific practice? Well, it evolved into a formal discipline that governs how we care for animals today, a field known as animal husbandry. And here's the fascinating part. Animal husbandry is about so much more than just food and shelter. It's a formal discipline that's really built on a foundation of ethics. The goal here isn't just about productivity. It's about making sure these animals are treated with respect and live in a healthy, thriving environment. It's got ethics built right in.
And this whole discipline, it really stands on four key pillars. You've got proper housing, you need nutritious feed and clean water, of course, proactive health care, and just a safe, clean environment. It's a whole package deal, right? Everything's connected to the animal's well-being.
And the scale of all this, it is just mind-boggling. Just to give you some perspective, India alone ranks #1 in the entire world for its population of cows and goats. We're talking millions and millions of animals. So yeah, understanding this science, it's absolutely crucial.
Okay, let's dive into one of the biggest challenges, nutrition. Because, feeding an animal isn't as simple as just throwing out some hay. Not at all. It's a precise science, almost like a puzzle that farmers have to solve every single day for every single animal. And that puzzle often starts with a super practical question. Imagine this. You've got a 1,000-pound cow. You need to know its weight to figure out its food, but you don't have a giant scale lying around. So what do? Just take a guess?
Yeah, of course not. The solution, and you might not believe this, is actually a simple math formula. It's this really clever method called Schaffel's formula, and it lets farmers get a pretty solid estimate of an animal's weight with nothing more than a tape measure. How cool is that?
And it's surprisingly easy to do. All you do is take two measurements, the animal's length and its girth. That's just the distance around its chest. So, for example, take this goat here. You plug those two numbers into the formula, and boom, you get a remarkably accurate estimate of its weight. It's a perfect mix of simple tools and smart science.
Okay, but why all the fuss about weight? Why is it so important? Well, it's because that number is the key to figuring out the animal's daily dry matter requirement. That's the precise amount of nutrient-rich food, everything but the water, that it needs to be healthy. This is what takes feeding from just guesswork to actual precision nutrition. All right, so daily feeding is one thing, but what about storing food for the off-season? For winter. Farmers have this brilliant solution called silage. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a pickle, but for animals. See, just like pickling preserves a cucumber for us, making silage ferments green fodder for them. It locks in all those good nutrients for months, guaranteeing a food supply all year long. And making it is basically a simple 3-step science experiment. First, you chop the fodder into little pieces. Then you pack it down really tight into a bag to get all the air out. And finally, you seal it up. That's it. What this does is create the perfect anaerobic, that just means oxygen-free, environment. And that lets all the good bacteria do their thing, fermenting the fodder and preserving it perfectly. So we've covered food, but beyond nutrition, you've got the whole world of healthcare, which is just as complex. And a modern farmer's medical kit? It's actually fascinating. It's not just filled with modern stuff. It's this incredible blend of cutting-edge vet practices and literally centuries of traditional, time-tested wisdom. And this two-sided approach is so important. On one hand, you've got modern, proactive prevention. Think of things like big vaccination drives to stop major diseases before they can even start. And on the other hand, you have this deep well of knowledge of traditional home-based remedies for the more common stuff. And this traditional knowledge is incredibly practical stuff. For instance, to treat something common like ticks, a farmer might make a paste from neem and turmeric. Or for an upset stomach, maybe a mix of ginger, pepper, and garlic.
It's like the farmer becomes part pharmacist, right? Using a medicine cabinet that nature itself provides. All of this really brings us back to where we started, that deep, deep connection between people and animals. Because when you look at all the science, you see it's about so much more than just managing livestock. It's about a real relationship, one built on care and understanding. And hey, if you need proof of that connection, just listen to this. Get this. Actual scientific research has shown that playing calming music in cowsheds, it actually reduces their stress levels. And the direct result? They produce more milk. It's the perfect example of how an animal's emotional well-being has a real, tangible impact. So, when you put all these pieces together, you realize that the modern farmer has to be this incredible jack of all trades. They're a scientist, calculating exact food rations. They're a nutritionist, figuring out how to preserve food for winter. They're a veterinarian, mixing modern and traditional medicine. And at the heart of it all, they're a caregiver. And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. As technology just keeps changing farming, how do we make sure we hold on to that essential 10,000-year-old bond? That bond of care and respect that has always been at the very heart of our relationship with animals.